girlfriends, it's me, Lauren Hope, aka Lolo of Good Girl Chronicles, blogger, certified peer recovery specialist, dog mom, lover of Dwayne Johnson, motivational speaker, and all around fabulous. Girlfriends, we are stepping up today. I've got my man Solomon Hayes here today. As I've been teasing to you guys, we're gonna talk to a major YouTube influencer about emotional eating. My little channel is like beside itself excited to have this major YouTuber to discuss this issue with you. Want to give you guys an update though. So I don't know if I told you guys, I have been training for a half marathon. It's one of the ways I'm trying to get a hold of my emotional eating to redirect my energy towards something positive. And this weekend I completed my first race in over like 6 years. It was the Santa 5-miler. I jogged that whole thing, girl. It was so freaking hard. But let me tell you something that I think is interesting about running that relates to life. I'm running, right? And I'm seeing all of these people pass me and I'm like, oh my gosh, they're so fast. How am I gonna run 13 miles? This hurts. Like this is hurting just at mile 3. And I had to look at my feet and said, focus on your own steps. Focus on your own steps. Every time I wanted to stop or I gave myself an excuse to take pictures of the lights and things like that, because it looked really fun. I was like, focus on your own feet. Remember why you want this. And I think that translates to life a lot. I know a lot of us play the comparison game. It is the thief of joy when we look at somebody else's highlight reel and we're like, man, my life is not that great compared to theirs. Focus on your own feet. So I have to do that like in life and on this emotional eating / weight loss journey. So I finished. And one of the reasons I want to talk about emotional eating, because I just know that it's something that so many of us struggle with. I have struggled with emotional eating for some time, honestly. Like a lot of Black folks, food was what we did everything around. It was what we celebrated around. When we were sad, we ate. When something major happened, we ate. And so I don't know how to separate emotion from food. And in my 30s, I'm realizing that it's impeding my weight loss journey. It makes me feel bad. It's like a really vicious cycle. Like I feel a certain emotion, I go and eat it to cope with it, and then I feel so guilty afterwards. And it's a roller coaster that I'm ready to get off of. And so when I thought about someone who could give some really good insight on emotional eating, I thought of Robert Brix Glover, and we are in his office today. I'm so freaking excited. So first, just introduce yourself, what you do, and who you are.
Like you said, my name is Robert Brix Glover, and I am a online fitness entrepreneur, I guess. So 7 years ago, I lost 150 pounds, and I went through this life transformation that outside, yes, my body changed, but more than just the physical change, I went through a spiritual and emotional change that superseded, I think, the physical change. Like I'm a totally different person in all ways. So I have an online fitness coaching business. I create fitness content. I also have a family vlog on YouTube, which is fun. My kids love that. I'm a dad. I am a server of humanity. I am a man on a mission to help free people from things like the traps of emotional eating and just limitations that we put on ourselves. You know, I'm really big on sharing my life. I'm very transparent because I think honestly, and this doesn't apply to all people. I think privacy is a little overrated. I think it contributes to the separation of everyone. I just remember when people would share their struggles with me, whether it be on a social media platform or in person, it made me feel empowered. It made me feel like I'm not the only one who is struggling with X, Y, and Z. So when I struggle with X, Y, and Z, I make it a point to share it with the world so that they don't feel alone. You know, so that's a big part of what I do every single day.
That's huge. And I really respect how open and transparent you are about your journey. So before the Brix that we see today, you were 150 pounds heavier.
Yes.
So tell me who Brix was 150 pounds heavier, pre-Brix Fitness.
So I was 360 pounds at my heaviest. I was extremely self-conscious, but I had this outer shell, you know, that hid it well. You know, I hid it with fancy clothes and this big, larger than life personality and jokes and, the things that I thought would make me feel important or valued. That was a big part of my persona as a 360-pound man. But I struggled a lot. I had a lot of family issues, a lot of trauma from my childhood that I didn't know how to process. And it caused a lot of issues in my relationship, with my kid's mom. I have 2 kids. It caused a lot of trouble with, me being able to keep a job. It was a lot of issues in school, just in general, like a lot of I didn't know how to deal with my traumas. And I ate because I gained 100 pounds after high school.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I always, I was what they call big bone, whatever that means. I was always a bigger guy, but it wasn't until I got to college and I started dealing with a lot of the realities and hardships of life that I really started turning to food to cope with a lot of that stuff.
And I've seen pictures of old Brix. I've watched your YouTube channel, and you did have this larger than life persona. You were a rapper.
Yeah.
You were very popular with the ladies. So on the outside, you did look like everything was all together. But from what I'm hearing from you, there was a lot of pain going on that maybe you were masking through other things.
For sure.
So you have that. What is the turning point? Where's the point? What is the moment where you say, this is not who I want to be? Mm-hmm. And so tell me about that moment and how it led to you on this weight loss journey.
So in 2012, I'm at what at the time I was considering the pinnacle of my life, right? I just graduated college. I was just starting to heal from my divorce from my kid's mom. And I had a job that I enjoyed. And one morning I made a terrible decision, and I got in trouble with the law because of that decision. And I lost my job, I lost my car, I lost my home, I lost everything. I fell flat on my face. And my depression, and I've always kind of dealt with depression all my life, my depression was the most extreme it's ever been. At that place in my life, I was in this really, really dark place where I contemplated taking my own life. And I kind of hit a fork in the road where it was like, okay, here you are. You're in this situation that you created. And this is, I talk like that in that language in retrospect, but at the time I was a victim. It's the system. It's the man trying to give it to me, but I was at this fork in the road, and I felt like I had to make a decision. Are you going to take your own life like a coward, or are you going to do something to take control of it? And from that moment, I set this very clear intention to take control of my life. So I tried to assess, where can I invest this energy that will cause kind of like a domino effect with every issue that I have in my life. And I figured if I got control of my weight, that it would fix my life. So I just got obsessed about this mission of just transforming my life. But slowly it turned from a weight loss journey into just an overall personal development journey. And that's when I realized that switch. And very early on in this journey, I felt as if I was gonna somehow, I don't know how I knew, but I knew I was going to be able to use my story to inspire people. So I have videos of me at 360 pounds with a double chin saying, hey, one day I'm gonna be able to help people lose weight. I'm gonna have a 6-pack. I'm gonna be a trainer. Like I would just speak all of these things that at the time I had it sounded crazy. It didn't sound crazy to me, but I know if anyone else heard me,
right,
they're like, no, there's no way this big fat dude is going to be a trainer one day. But I believed it, and now, many years later, it's all come to fruition.
That's a powerful thing about like a powerful, I think, example of manifesting your destiny. Because look at, like, you now have a podcast. You're now traveling the country, helping people transform their lives. Like that's really incredible when you think about it.
Thank you.
What made you want to take the journey public?
For the first thing for me was accountability, right? I knew I had failed so many times with weight loss in the past. And I know my personality, I'm more accountable to other people than I am to myself. So I try to position myself using social media. I've always kind of been into social media. And I figured I'll be able to leverage social media in a way where I can use this to keep me accountable. So that's how it started. And even now, like if I'll scroll back at some of the old photos, I would have captions where I'm inspiring people. I'm in the gym, but I'm still big. And, I'm writing captions trying to inspire people. But it worked for me, because all it is it's a momentum thing. And it's repetitions. The more repetitions, no matter how you get those repetitions in, the more times you have the opportunity to make a healthy eating choice. The more times you get into the gym or you work out at home, whatever the case may be, the more it becomes a part of your routine, the more it becomes a habit. So I used it initially, social media, and being public with my journey as the accountability just to get me there, right? And then after a while, I found the flow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the discipline helped. But what I think is challenging is like, if you think about old Brix and you've had a lifetime of eating to cope with feelings, a lifetime of voting. How do you keep yourself going? Like after that first day at the gym and your body is hurting and how do you keep going?
I've attached this to my identity. And that was an intention early on. And I'm also very kind to myself during the process. It's not linear. It's not every day you're going to be super on it. And when you have that expectation, you're setting yourself up for failure to begin with. So just my understanding of the process. And when I say the process, this can be applied to weight loss. This can be applied to a relationship. This can be applied to building a business. The process is the process. It's always ugly. It's always sporadic. It's always ups, downs, up, down. So when you approach a weight loss journey or whatever your goal is, with that understanding, you give yourself space to be human, to make mistakes, to ride the roller coaster that is weight loss, right? And I think that's what helps me. When I fall short or when I do things that used to disappoint me, I would not give it any power. I would just focus on the moment and look forward. Like, okay, I did X, Y, and Z. That's behind me now. Let's get back on the horse. And that's it. You just have to keep getting back on the horse. Just keep getting back on the horse. You're going to mess up. So and messing up, I don't even like using that term, right? Because you're not messing up. It's life. You're going to eat. You're going to have social events to go to, and there's going to be alcohol, and there's going to be croissants. Like, it's just going to happen, So it's not messing up. That's just a part of life. It's about, that's why I don't like villainizing food. I don't like saying there's good foods and bad foods. There's just foods that we should eat less of than others. And that's just that.
I love that messaging whenever I hear that, because, I do have in my mind, oh, that's a bad food. The hard thing for me is I'll have a day where I give in to eating the emotional food. And then I feel so guilty that next day I'm like, well, I blew it.
And I can relate to that. I remember that. But now what I like to do, because I still have those moments, I acknowledge it first, right? I say, okay, I'm going to make a conscious decision to give in to this emotional urge to eat. And then after I do it, I forgive myself, and then I just get back on it. It doesn't have as much impact on your results when you confine it to that one moment, right? And even if it happens a few times a week, eventually, as you continue to just get back on the horse, that it'll stop happening. It'll start happening less and less and less and less. And then now when it does happen, I just embrace it. I'm having a moment, something stressed me out, and it doesn't happen so often. So I let myself have that moment, And there's nothing wrong with that, right? So just, you have to be patient, you have to be kind to yourself, and you have to make sure you're isolating that and it's not turning into this snowball effect. You know?
Yeah, I agree with that. And, a lot of the things I've been working on in therapy is identifying why I am trying to deal with a certain emotion with food. Like, what is the actual thing? Am I tired? Am I lonely? Am I anxious or whatever? Sometimes, yeah, you're right. I give in.
Yeah.
I give into it.
Yeah.
But I'm giving into it less. I'm giving into it less.
Do you celebrate that, Lauren?
Do you celebrate it?
that? Because that is a win, right? We put so much focus on scale victories. And we definitely don't acknowledge the real victories. And when you don't acknowledge those victories, you don't allow yourself to leverage those wins, because we like to get those. Like, I have this thing that I call micro wins.
Okay.
Right? That's what I consider a micro win. And if you string along micro wins, it causes this force of momentum that will carry you through it, right? But if you don't acknowledge it and you're focusing on the things that don't really matter, like the scale, right, you cheat yourself of the opportunity to create some more momentum, to create some force that will help you stay consistent.
I like that. And so hearing you say that, I'm going to acknowledge some micro wins.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about me. When something is uncomfortable or whatever, humor is my defense mechanism. So if I laugh, it's funny. It's like I'm laughing because I feel like some shame about it, or I really feel pitiful. So my defense is laughter. So, because I feel like what I'm about to say is ultimate fat girl moments here. So 2 weeks ago, whenever I am by a Krispy Kreme sign,
Get it out, Lauren.
whenever I am by a Krispy Kreme and the red hot thing is on, it is so hard for me to not stop. Mm-hmm. So I stopped, but I didn't have two, I had one.
That's a win.
Right?
I can't do that today. I can't have one Krispy Kreme.
It's very hard.
I can't do it. I can't have one bowl of cereal. I know this about myself, so that's why I wouldn't drive. I will drive all the way around to not drive past that Krispy Kreme sign if I were you. If that's controlling our environment, controlling what stimulus we expose ourselves to is a big part of this. Until you can grow the strength and will to resist it, why subject yourself to it?
No, that makes sense.
Drive around it. You know that.
Yeah, thankfully I don't live near one.
Because, Lauren, one thing you're equipped with, and I hope you acknowledge this, you're very self-aware. And I think that's one of the biggest barriers between people actually being able to achieve weight loss success, is because everything happens so subconsciously. But when you have the awareness, you're equipped with a powerful tool. And I want you to acknowledge that. I want you to give yourself credit with that, because you're so much further ahead of a lot of people because you have that self-awareness. Thank
you. I do think I'm incredibly self-aware. Part of it is like starting out as a psychology major in therapy. So thanks to my therapist for that. I had a holiday party last week and I didn't get a second plate. That was a micro win.
Micro win.
I also like something that you do, like when if you go out and you drink, I think you said something like, if you drink, the next day you have to do so many miles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and that's just something I put in place, like I said, because I know how to corner myself into getting the behaviors, I guess. I don't know a better way to say it, but to get myself to do what I know I should do, I set up certain systems. And as long as those systems have integrity, and that's a big part of my identity is integrity. So those systems allow me to get, to control myself, because I know how I like to turn up. I like to turn up. Right. So I just got to know, all right, if you're making this choice, well, you're going to have to honor that promise that you made to yourself. If you're going to do this, then this is what how you're gonna have to pay for it. And I don't like to frame it that way, but that's essentially what it is. Like, it helps, because most of the time it prevents me from having beyond that third drink, because I'm like, I'm not gonna want to run in the morning, so I just don't drink. Right. It's just, I don't know, it's just little hacks like that, and it's gonna look different for every person to set up those systems or set up those rules or guidelines for themselves, but it doesn't work if you don't honor them.
So I think by the time this hits the channel, it will be around New Year's. And people are going to have that resolution of losing weight. So what tips would you give to somebody who wants to start their weight loss journey?
Everything you've done in the past, don't do that again. Do it differently. Don't approach it the same way. Last year, you went to the gym 4, 5, 6 days a week. You threw everything out your cupboard. You went on this crazy diet. Don't do it that way. Figure out a way. Think about it like this. What changes can I make in my life right now that realistically that I can sustain for the next 5, 10 years? If you think about it from that perspective, you're a lot more patient with yourself. You're a lot more realistic with your approach. And you know, I like to tell people, like, pick 1 or 2 little things to change, right? If you drink 7 sodas a week, start drinking 3 sodas a week, and just add, you know, if you haven't worked out all year, just commit to trying to do 2 30-minute walks a week. Start there, right? Focus on consistency. That's the most important thing. Focus on what you can do consistently, because what you do, honestly, isn't as important as you think. You just have to do something. You have to get active, and you have to improve your relationship with food. You have to eat a little bit less, and that's it. And if you take that journey and you slowly build upon those micro wins, those micro adjustments to your life, the next thing you know, it's the end of the year, right? And you paced it. You didn't stress yourself out trying to do too much in the beginning, and you lost 30 pounds, or you lost whatever. You reached whatever goal you set. But just take your time. Consistency, prioritize consistency over intensity. Intensity doesn't serve us in the beginning of these journeys. It doesn't. And that's what most of us do.
Yeah, that's a message I hear from you consistently. I think the first time we met, I was like, I need to work out every single day. Yeah. And then you were like, do you really need to work out every day? Because you're right. I think when you're starting a journey, you're like, I have to get rid of every little thing. I have to work out 7 days a week, and it feels intensely overwhelming. Yeah. And it's not a way to like sustain that lifestyle change. So yeah, how would you say you've sustained? I mean, you've kept off the weight. Yeah. You've sustained it for years, right?
It's been 6 years that I've had the weight off. A big part of it, I'd be a fool not to acknowledge that this is my profession, and it's a big part of my purpose, and then also focusing on the habits, right? I intentionally constructed habits in my life that protect me from ever gaining the weight back again. And just like I consider myself a healthy lifestyle activist. And I think that's a title that no matter where you are in your journey, you can attach that to your identity, because we all have people in our lives that we care for, that we see affected by lifestyle choices, whether it's, diseases or, depression caused by, there's a lot of issues that are caused by the terrible lifestyle choices that we make. So if you just attach, I'm a healthy lifestyle activist, even while you're developing, you're in the middle of your journey, but just having that become a part of you, it changes something in your psychology. And and I think that's why it's not so challenging anymore to sustain this lifestyle, because it became a part of me. It's who I am.
I definitely see that. So most of my followers are women, and I know most of your followers are men, but what advice would you give to women who maybe are struggling with emotional eating or weight loss?
So I don't think the advice matters for the, if it's a man or a woman. It's the same deal. I think self-awareness is super duper key. I'm a big journaler. So if the more you understand your patterns, the more information you have to strategize with, right? So bring it all from the subconscious to your conscious mind. Be aware as possible. Be kind and patient with yourself as possible, and just take your time. There's no rush. I understand, because I was there. I remembered, like, I gotta get this weight off now. But speaking from someone who took that approach, have coached hundreds of people through that approach, it never works. It never works. So focus on developing good habits, right? Be intentional. Do some research on habit formation. There's good information out there on how to intentionally create better habits. And these are the roots. If you can form better habits and form a better relationship with food over time, it takes time. And that's why the consistency piece is so important, because you learn so much along the way. Focus on habits, focus on the self-awareness. I think that's the biggest takeaways. My biggest advice to women.
Well, you are an amazing conversationalist. I can totally talk to you for hours. And I'm sure that people will want to know how to connect with you afterwards. How can they connect with you after this?
I'm Brix Fitness, Brix Fitness, on all social media platforms, brixfitness.com. My YouTube channel, you can search Brix Fitness, again, Brix Fitness. I'm pretty easy to find.
Yeah, you are.
I appreciate you, Lauren.
I appreciate you too.
Seriously.
I'm incredibly inspired by your journey, and I listen to your podcast a lot. Like the habits, and you consistently say the same thing about small changes and consistency over time. So thank you. We're gonna revisit this, and I'm gonna be in my weight loss goal.
That's good. That's good.
Well, girlfriends, that is the end of this vlog. I'd love to hear your comments below if you struggle with this, or maybe are on a journey, and we can do this together. So comment below. I'm going to put Brix's information underneath below, and then I will see you next week. And thank you so much for following this beautiful, crazy thing that I call life. As we say here at Good Girl Chronicles, I love you. I love God more. See you next time.